Hello everyone! Welcome to a new video of the channel. Today we are going to review a little bit of the history of the Canadian Grand Prix, and then we are going to have a drive around the track, because on paper it might not seem that there are too many differences between the old version of the track and the new one. But when you drive around, you can really tell, and they did lots of improvements to make the track easier and safer to drive. But in some aspects, I think that maybe some parts of the old layout were really good. To review a little bit of the history of the Canadian Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix has been held in 1961, and actually it wasn't held on the actual track the Formula 1 uses. It was held in the Motorsport Park, which is a track in Ontario. That track it was used from 1961 to 1968. In 1968, they moved the race to Mont-Tremblant in Montreal, and after that they started alternating between this track and the Motorsport Park in Ontario until in 1978, where they raced for the first time in the actual Gilles Villeneuve track. To give you an idea, this is what the Motorsport Park looked in 1961. The good thing about this one was that it was in a place in hills, so you could get some ups and downs, and that was kind of the most interesting part of it. After this, as I said, they raced on Mont-Tremblant, which didn't seem too bad, but since in 1967 they had this Expo 67 in Canada, from which they built this island, which is called the Isle Notre Dame, or the Notre Dame Island. On this new part, they built some things that still prevail, like the Casino of Montreal and the biosphere here, which is still there. And if you pay attention when the Formula 1 goes to race, now it's all covered in LED color lights, and you can really say where it is. So some parts of these tracks, internal streets they built for the Expo 67, were part, and still are part of the track, the actual Formula 1 track, and some others of course not, but some of them were reused. Of course they had to kind of expand them to make them able to make them fit, so the cars can race there. But it's really crazy that they reuse some of the internal streets. So you can see this is a biosphere they built in 1967, and it's still there. 1978, as I mentioned at the beginning, was the first race. This was a really crazy race because this man you see over here, which is Gilles Villeneuve, Canadian racing in Canada, had a really good race, and in the rain he was able to go for the victory for the first time on his career. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, these tracks suffer lots of changes during the years. In 1978, which, as I just mentioned, it was the first race ever held here, this was the layout. And the main differences we can see is that the start of the race, the finish line, was placed here. So instead of starting here, as you can see on this, the actual layout, the race is being started here on the 88. In 1978, it was started here. So that means in all this area, they place the pit box. So this was actually the last corner, which totally changes lots of things that are cool about this track. One of the things really interesting about this track, this part holds on the exit of the second turn what is known as the Wall of Champions. Other difference we can see is that after the chicane that goes into the main straight, there is no corners after you reach what now is the corner number 1. And in the old layout, you had this kind of like big speed chicane, high speed chicane, that made the cars brake a little bit. So it's not that you could go flat out, especially on the 78 with the low downforce cars. You had to lift a bit. And after, the rest of the track is more or less the same. You can see here all this part here, all the way to the Campari corner, and the hairpin. So you can see most of that is still remains the same. But then there was another big change, which the actual track does not have, which is this chicane here. So after the hairpin here, on the past there was a chicane. It was a really high speed chicane, so here this corner was almost flat out. On this one you had to lower 1 or 2 gears depending on the car, and you could take these 2 corners in 1 or 2 gears below what you were using here. Coming back to the Wall of Champions, I would like to mention that this wall is called the Wall of Champions because it's really known as a place where all the champions have been a victim of. Because by trying to go quicker, they made the mistake of crashing into this actual wall. It's an actual wall that has a concrete. It's a concrete wall. So here you can see this is the last chicane. This is a new version, of course. So you have the last chicane, and then you go into the straight. And on the exit of the last chicane, you can see the line here that goes all the way through here. And all this part is what we call the Wall of Champions. This is a close-up. As you can see, it's an actual wall where you are not going to have a good time if you hit it. Some changes introduced in the later years was this part where they removed the grass and they placed this to help cars not lose the grip whenever they go over the curb. But that didn't help too much because now drivers use this as part of the track and they don't care. This is a curb. And in order to prevent cars from cutting the corner, now they place these high sausages which are kind of dangerous as well, because if you touch any of them, you go straight to the wall. So I would like to name some victims of this wall, so you get an idea of. I mean, it's not that everyone is crashing here. It's not that some place where just people just starting in the sport is making mistakes. It's a corner that is really tricky, and they made it harder when they close up, they tighten up the corner to make it sharp. They made it sharper. So in order to go quick and have a good exit speed and get a good speed on the straight, you have to really push it there now, and that made the corner to be even more dangerous. So if you go to the past, previous years, you will see that there wasn't much accidents until they made this change and this change, and after that they started searching like every year. Now I would like to start from 1997, where this guy, Jacques Villeneuve, had a contact with this Wall of Champions. So he was coming out of this corner, and I think he realized that he was not going to do it without touching the wall. So he started to brake, and that made the car spin, and he touched the wall at a really low speed. It was about between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour. So he just managed to break the nose a little bit on the front wing, and that's it. It wasn't that bad. On 1998, this was another victim of they the started wall. Searching. So this is Damon Hill, for the ones that don't know him, and he had the classic Wall of Champions crash. He was coming out of the corner and just went over the curb, and just after having contact and breaking both wheels on this side, he just kept going, because you are not able to brake after that. In 1999, we have another world champion, of course, the world champions, the ones I'm mentioning, which is Michael Schumacher. I don't think he needs any presentation whatsoever. And he had a bite as well of this Wall of Champions, coming out of the corner, trying to get a really good exit speed. In the race, he got into the wall. And then going just 6 years later, another champion, Jenson Button, which at that year was in Bar Honda, had during the race had a contact as well with the wall, and ended up there in the middle of the of the track. This one is a person that was still active until last year, so 2 years ago. Wow. So Sebastian Vettel had as well contact with this wall. You can see that now they made this tarmac or asphalt exit after the curb and after the actual track, but that didn't seem to help at that time. And then I couldn't find so many crashes after this one, and I wanted to show some crash of someone that was actually racing right now, and the only one I could find was this guy, which in 2017 had this the same contact. I mean, went into the chicane, made a mistake there, and hit the wall. I don't have the actual picture of the car making contact to the wall. I looked everywhere, I looked for a video and there is nothing available. So this is all I could get of it, and this was the car after that. So let's go now and do some laps on the track. I will show you first the old version. I'm going to do like a corner by corner check of differences, and then we are going to do some laps, and then we go to the new version of the track, and in there we are going to see how different it seems when you drive on it. As I said before, on paper they might not look that different, but when you're actually racing there, you are able to really see they are quite really see you can really see they are quite different. So here we are at rfactor 2, and let's do a lap on the old layout so I can show you the differences. We're going to go slow first, and then we're going to do a quick lap. I can't remember if I have a setup here. Okay, I hope it works. Whoa, the other that guy is very useful. So one of the differences you can see, I'm going full speed here. This is because in 1998 there was no speed limits whatsoever in the pit, so you could go as fast as you wanted. Then this was later changed, and now the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour if it didn't change again. One of the other differences you can see is the curves. So the curves are really high, so you can see I can step with the cars, and it's actually not that useful, because if you hit that you are going to spin for sure. Other change you can see on the new track is on this exit there is no more grass. Now there is some asphalt they put there in order to prevent people from doing actually what just happened with my car, which is bottoming out and crashing. Another difference in here is on this corner to the left. They did some asphalt as well, and the curve is lower. So the curve at this moment is lower, and they did some asphalt, so you can place your left. You can place your left wheel in here, and you can go over the new kind of shortcut they done without spinning. And let's go. This is all straight. This is all the same. Campari corner. This is what is named the Campari corner. So big change here. It's a little bit. Of course, the curves. As you can see, the curves are no longer like that, because that might happen. And the corner is a little bit more open, so it's easier to turn to the right. Another difference here is on the exit, you have a curve now, and you have some asphalt you can use. So that is to avoid cars to crash into this other wall. I think there is enough with the Wall of Champions, so they try to avoid having more crashes in walls. I didn't touch him, that was always himself. So another difference now, I think I have to check, but I'm 90% sure that this wall that you can see there is no longer there on the new truck. And actually that's a remain of the old boxes when the start of the race was being held here. So you can see on the game there is still some leftovers of what it looks like a pit exit here. As far as I know, that no longer exists, and now they made all grass on the left side. We are going to check that. And in the new track, after taking that last hairpin, it's all a really long straight up to the last chicane, which takes you to the Wall of Champions. Now the difference is you have this really high speed chicane, which I find rather interesting and funny to take. I actually prefer this layout of the track, but what it lacks is a really hard last corner. So you can see this last chicane is really open and really quick, and that's the reason why in the past there wasn't that many crashes on the Wall of Champions. So that on my right is the Wall of Champions, because the last chicane is kind of easier at this point. There wasn't so many crashes in the Wall of Champions. Then later, when they made the chicane more hard to take, people started to having the need to push in order to do a good lap time, and because they made it harder, of course people is going to make more mistakes. So let's try to do one full speed lap. It won't be a record lap, of course, but it's for you to get an idea. So you can see now the curves are not that aggressive. Not ideal. This is a really hard corner because you have to accelerate as much as you can. At the same time you are turning right, which makes the car really easy to spin. The compare corner is a really hard one as well, because you think you can turn quicker, but actually if you try it, you make the mistake I just made. So this is a really slow corner, first corner. You can take a little bit more of exit now. I don't know if it was allowed in 1988. So this is the main difference. The chicane is a really quick chicane, but you see how fun it is. I mean, it's not that hard. And here you can go really quick as well, and you can go really far away from the Wall of Champions. So that's why there is not many hits to the wall I could find before the change they made to that in 19. I think it was in the 2000s. No, it was in the 90s. So it's really hard to drive at this speed and think. Try to double up. So you can see how much quicker this is. Now, in here, the curves are easier to take now. Of course, you can remember the incident between Sebastian Vettel and Hamilton, because that corner as well is one where you think you can take it quicker as you actually should, and then you go over it and make a mistake. So let's see now. Let's go back and see the differences with the new one. Here we go. This is the actual track that where the race will be held this weekend. If you're not seeing this video this weekend, that information will not have any value whatsoever. But this same weekend, check the date of the video. The Formula 1 will be racing there, or here actually in this track. Let me show you how it looks. So you can see now I have a speed limit of 100, 99 actually. Now the pit exit is not on what we can say the straight. Now you exit on this chicane, which is better because it's on a slower part of the track. You're not going just in the middle of the straight. So you can see they improve the curves, you can take them. Oh, I didn't load any setup, so my car might behave differently. So this version is not 100% accurate. So this is not more Campari, it's Petronas now. But yeah, you can see this. Now you can take the curves and not die in the process. Of course they made more stands so people can see the race. And as I told you before, in here there was an actual wall on the classic version, and in here now that does not exist anymore. For safety reasons, of course, there is no need to have a wall in the middle of the track. And at this point, I think after this, so at this point, I will be getting out of the chicane, but in here there is no chicane, it's all straight and cool. I'm showing the track here, please be careful. Okay, and then after the straight we have the corner that ends up in the Wall of Champions. You can see, I mean, it's easier to take the curves, but the corner is really harder. You should not take it like that. It's really harder because it's a more tight corner, but at the same time they put something on the exit so you don't go straight to the grass. But I think because they put that, now racing drivers see that as a new track and try to go over that as quick as they can. And that may be the reason why we see so many accidents. So they put a curve there which you can go over into. In some versions of the track there is something you can step there. So the car without the setup has lots of understeer. It's not the same as on the other track that they had a setup. You can go over this. I don't have the references there. Now you can hit this curve as well, which you couldn't before. And here you don't have the chicane, you just go straight. So you could see there was a piece of asphalt that was going to the right. And in here it's much slower now, you can see. I got used to the older version. Let's try that one more time. I got used to the older version and just went straight. So I have medium tires now. I had soft the other time I did the old truck, so it's not easier to go that quick. The AI is using soft compound as well. I'm not using any driving assistance, so the car is not easy to accelerate earlier. Now you can see I can go over the curve and have a better exit than before. Before it was a really slow chicane. Now they made a bigger yeah, I just went straight to show that. They made a bigger exit on the corner to avoid people crashing into the wall at the exit. And now after the long straight you have to brake more the turn. Before you didn't arrive here that quick. So you can see what happened. It's really easy to touch the wall. Let's do one more lap so we can see there. Let's see how we are. So the computer is at 99%. At the moment I'm half a second quicker. Really hard to brake there without the references. I'm used to see the signs for 50 and 100 meters. So now it's all straight. And I'm still not used to the last corner, so I might make a mistake. Wow. As I said. Is it a good lap? Second. Okay, well, considering I did lots of practice on the older version and I didn't race on this one for years. That's World of Champions. Okay guys, I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something today, and if you like this content I will be uploading more Formula 1 related content. More Gran Turismo content, and of course more sim driving racing content. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe so you don't miss any new video. And see you. I hope you guys had fun as I had showing you the track. And see you in the next video. Have a nice day.